All right, what's up, everybody? In this short segment, I want to cover the two things that I'm not able to cover while I'm driving around and narrating my experience, and that's the residency and naturalization requirements, and just a quick talk about real estate. I'm not going to go into depth on this. If you're interested in more information, please hit me up in the comments. But Panama had for a long time what was called the Friendly Nations visa. This was an unbelievable good deal. You could get permanent residency for essentially for free, minus the cost of hiring the proper legal guidance, some kind of local attorney to walk you through that, which I believe at the time that I did it was about $5,000, give or take. You set up a LLC, right? You basically incorporate here, and you can get permanent residency in about a 60 to 90 day process. We had to do it during the lockdowns, and it was a nightmare because we had to go sit in hot, sweaty waiting rooms and wait for your name to be called and all the rest. But the legal firm actually hold your hand, walked us right through it, stayed with us there, made sure that they were present, just so there's no misunderstanding about legal terms. I speak good Spanish, but right, you want a legal representative if there's going to be any kind of legal discussion about what your obligations are. It was all laid out very, very simply. The Friendly Nations still exists, but it is no longer free. And when I say it was free, you had to deposit 10 grand in a Panamanian bank. The banks in Panama are reasonably solid. It's a big, big financial hub for this part of the world. Obviously, Panama City is a major, major source of financial services and all kinds of investment going on there, a lot of commerce passing through there. So there's nothing shocking about the notion that banks in the small, formerly Banana Republic in Central America have actually become quite solid. They have reasons to really guard their reputations. I'll tell you an anecdote. I put my $10,000 deposit in. I left some of that money in for some period of time. You are allowed to take it out as soon as you have permanent residency and you have your carnet, the little ID card for Panama. You can take that money out, right, as soon as you're approved or right somewhere in the process. Like, it's perfectly fine to take it out. I left that money in for several years, and then when I tried to get it out, all the banks now have gone to this. It's a kind of two-factor authentication where you actually have to get a code, but it's not on your phone. You have to do it through the app, and I forget what they call it. It's some kind of token, right? And so it's not as straightforward as a simple two-factor authentication where you check a number that changes every 10 seconds or whatever it is, or you get a text. It's not like that. They required you to download their app, and it was a shit show. I actually went to the bank to finally get my money out, physically walked into the bank that I first opened the account in. And if you think offshore structures like where to bank, how to invest in foreign real estate, and where to set up your foreign trust are difficult or complicated, they're not. That's not the hard part of creating an international lifestyle. The hardest part is the decision to go. That's why I wrote Secrets of the Expat Adventure, to share with you a deeply personal view of what happens when you decide to cast off the chains of a normal life full of predictable outcomes. I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but you quickly discover yourself living your best life, the life you were meant to live, instead of the one you're stuck with. Across 156 pages, I'll share the incredible adventure I've enjoyed because of my decision to leave my old life behind and create an international lifestyle. I lay out for you the consequences of remaining in a life or location where everything is familiar, contrasting that with the almost magical growth and gain that is possible once you decide to take the path of adventure. There's something deeply mysterious about choosing an adventurous life. Once you commit, helpers appear, and events seem to unfold in an almost magically choreographed manner. You find yourself learning, living, and loving your life in a way that you thought you'd lost forever. There is no financial gain that compares with the recovery of the best parts of yourself. Fortunately, the decision to internationalize is also a great way to get wealthy. I give you real examples of how much easier it was for me to find and profit from the real estate and other investment opportunities I came across simply by choosing to play on the very uneven playing field of developing markets. If you're worried about what's happening in your home country and you're on the fence about whether or not you should create your own plan B, Secrets of the Expat Adventure will give you clarity and inspiration to choose your own path of freedom and adventure. I promise you'll never look at your life the same way again once you discover what an international lifestyle can do for you, your family, and your wealth. To get your copy, click the link below this video. The dude who opened the account, the actual banker, the actual customer service person, couldn't get the token to actually work for us to do this electronically. So he had to actually write a check, and I waited in line at the teller to get cash in hand before I could I don't even know that I closed the account, but I was disgusted by the delay. It was unbelievably frustrating. It was completely stupid, like idiotic security protection over something that the people who run the bank can't even figure out how to navigate. So extra headache there, but by and large, your money is reasonably safe in a Panamanian bank. My various sources all confirm this, probably safer than in a lot of US banks at this point. But the friendly nations visa onto the residency requirement, whereas before you had to put 10 grand in a bank to qualify and then pay a lawyer a few $1,000 to get you through the paperwork. Now today, the friendly nations is any of the Western countries. That's US, Canada, most of Western Europe, obviously. Whatever that list is, I'm not going to list it here. You could do a quick search on that. There's a bunch of nations considered friendly to Panama, and this lowers your threshold to $200,000. So you have to invest $200,000 in Panamanian residential or commercial real estate, which is actually a decent deal. Buying apparently warehouses for merchandise and trade coming through the Panama Canal Zone is still a big investment. The last time I talked to my commercial real estate contact, she told me the single best thing that's going is not condos. It's not new apartments being built in swanky parts of Panama City. It's actually warehouse space. If you can get a deal on warehouse space, a lot of people need it, and you can charge fabulous rates for freight coming through Panama City. You wouldn't think that that's the case this far into Panama Canal. Ain't new, right? But they still need warehouse space for all the trade that it has to handle. So that's interesting. $200,000 investment in real estate and or business, right? Anything that you're going to use, or a certificate of deposit. In other words, you could put $200,000 into a CD, earning what I think is roughly 4% is the going rate right now in a bank in Panama, and that would qualify you for a friendly nations, provided that you were also from one of the nations on the friendly nations list. There's about 50 countries at present. Okay, so that gets you right away a provisional residency for 2 years. You keep your temporary provisional residency active, you go to permanent residency, and then after 5 years, you are able to apply for naturalization. The other two routes are retirees, requires about $1,000 monthly income. Last I checked, these are the latest figures that I have. $750 a month if you purchase a $100,000 property. So if you invest and you have a $750 a month income, which is very low threshold for most folks, add $250 for each dependent. This is retirement income, a public or private source. This is not some other source of income. This is like a pension kind of, what's called a pensionado. This meets the financial requirement if you're a pensionado or a retiree. And then for investors, the golden visa for Panama is $300,000. So I said the friendly nations lowers you to a $200,000 threshold. So you would invest less money if you were from one of the friendly countries, as Panama considers you. Otherwise, $300,000 investment will do the trick, or $300,000 in local or residential real estate, including real estate for personal use. So you buy a condo in Panama City or on the beach or someplace that you like, that would meet the threshold, or $500,000 in the Panamanian stock market, or a certificate of deposit in a local bank to the tune of $750K. So that's not a small amount of money for a lot of people, but if Panama is on your list, I've given you my reasons why I think Panama is going to be a dicey location for a lot of different reasons. But almost certainly whatever happens, short of all-out nuclear war, right, in which case all bets are off, Panama City is going to be it is a major hub for business. I mean, it is a shocking skyline. All of that has come about in the last 23, 24 years. I was here in 1999 backpacking through, and there was nothing, right? The whole skyline has been built since then in 25 years, and there's no end in sight. The construction continues. There's high-rise cranes building big buildings all the way out. They're going to extend that all the way out to the airport. And so the good times are rolling in Panama City. And so there's reasons perhaps to make Panama your hub. We decided to do it. It made sense at the time. As for naturalization, I'm told that the new president has to, in Panamanian law, the president has to actually sign your naturalization document. So it has to go on his desk, and he has to actually be the one to sign it. And there was a big backlog for various reasons, no doubt. And also, if you did not live in Panama during your 5 years of permanent residency, you're not going to get naturalized. Now, it says that you're eligible for it, but you're not going to be allowed to do that. Unless you're bringing something to the party, you're probably not going to be included and get your naturalization document. Panamanian citizenship, even though they give you a passport, it's a rare thing. I've never seen this in another country, but there's a provision where you could have a travel document and not be a Panamanian citizen. For me, that's a distinction without a difference. Who cares if you have a passport from another country? That's really what you want, is the travel document. Why would you care about being a Panamanian citizen anyway? But they do it this way. So 5 years, 7 years, you're going to have to spend considerable time on the ground if you're actually going to naturalize. And that's the deal in Panama on residency and citizenship and passport requirements. Now, let me just cover, I took photos passing by. This is not a deep dive on Panamanian real estate. I'm in Boquete, so I shot pictures walking past a real estate office. These were some of the things they had posted. I just want to give you again, you could search this out for yourself if you're interested, or drop it in the comments, and maybe I'll do a deeper dive for those who care. Boquete is a pleasant town. I've already given you my spiel on that. But this is what real estate looks like. This is a very, very large property. It's well wooded, right? That looks like a metal roof. So, that's standard kind of construction here in this part of the world. And but you see the price tag on it, right? They're saying $1 million views. Okay. Income producing property. So they have separate apartments that you could rent out, looks like, right? Like cottage up here and maybe a different apartment, separated off, or a lock off kind of situation that would allow you to have multiple tenants coming. I don't know how good Panama is going to be for rental real estate. I doubt that's going to be a huge moneymaker. I mean, there is a certain amount of tourism. But like I said, for the various reasons and the dangers that are building up within Panama and the tug of war that is shaping up between the great powers, and the fact that Panama is such a strategic prize, I would not count on tourism to float your investment of your Panamanian real estate. And so $689,000, that's quoted in US dollars. Panamanian economy is dollarized. And so that is a lot of marbles for a property in the mountains in a Central American country. It's very pleasant, it's very nice, but that's a serious price tag on that, regardless of how big it is. This is 1.3 million. Again, I don't have a lot of photos. I'm not clicking through this for you, but it says it's in a gated community. I don't know where Clayton is. I assume that's close by here. I'm sure it's a nice property. It's obviously very well finished, at least in this photo. Looks like it's in a neighborhood, right? 1.3 million, it's no joke. This is Jaramillo. I'm very close to Jaramillo where I'm recording here, so this is close in Boquete. Probably a very pleasant, says panoramic views, $895,000. That's a lot of money for a property. Like, you could buy a lot of property in other parts of the world for $900,000. And this is a smaller property, 3-bedroom, Alto Boquete. That too is very close to where I'm recording this. Fruit trees, fenced yard, terraces, gated community. Okay, $380,000. That's not outrageous, right? I mean, it's probably a very comfortable place to live. Looks like it's decently made. You have to go check these places out, obviously. And then I grabbed this. Boca Chica is up on the north coast and on the Caribbean side, a $2.5 million property. I'm sure it's stunning. I'm sure it's lovely. They have that wonderful Spanish style architecture that is all throughout Latin America. It's very pleasant. It's very nice, right? When it's done properly and like the construction quality is good, you're getting a fabulous property. But again, these are not giveaway prices. These are actually pretty serious real estate prices. So, if you wanted to get in early on Panamanian real estate, the ship really sailed on that quite a while ago. Same thing in Panama City and other parts of even beachfront properties from, if you can buy early with a big developer and get a discount, right? Even then, right, you're paying serious kind of U.S. level prices. There is no deal, like serious giveaway kind of bargain basement deal on Panamanian real estate that I am aware of. And so that's enough on that. And again, if you're interested in this and you think it's time to diversify, Panama's not the worst place. I just think that the danger level that's going to continue to build as the tension, global politics, and the whole chessboard gets a shakeup throughout, say, next 5 to 10 years until that is resolved and the new world order sort of takes shape, and we all hope that happens peacefully. Panama is, in my mind, a very risky bet. It may not be the worst place to go, and up where we are, if you had to get across the border to Costa Rica, you could probably outrun whatever trouble is coming. You would hear about it in the city, in the canal zone. You would hear about it, but it's just not that far, right? You just don't have a lot of distance between yourself and what I think will be a very tense situation around the canal in Panama City itself. If things really come unglued. And so that's my hit on Panama. But if you want more information on that, please reach out to me. The contact information is below this video. You can book a free 15-minute call to talk to me or someone on my team. And I've teamed up with a white glove legal firm in the United States. This is US-based legal advice, international tax attorney, talking about how to structure your assets so that you make it through the coming chaos with your wealth intact. It's not going to do you a lot of good to be wealthy if you lose all of your money right through the coming chaos. We've put together special kind of packages with real white glove service, holding your hand all the way through. And I think it's one of the best outfits I've seen. This is not some fly-by-night, right? You pay a ton of money and then you get passed off to some local attorney at a huge discounted rate and you got to figure stuff out yourself. These people really hold your hand all the way through, and it's the highest level service I've seen. So I know these people, I trust them. If you want to get in touch with me and set up a call to discover if this is correct for you, please let us know in the link below. You can book your free 15-minute, no obligation phone call. And I've put together also a free starter guide, my bulletproof plan B. You can check that out in the description below this video. And last of all, I wrote a book about my own journey to internationalize my life. This started for me really in 1997. So what am I going on? 27, 28 years now. When I first moved to Europe and then took off around the world by sea. And my realization in talking to enough people was the big objection, the biggest reason people won't do this is because the decision to go is so difficult. And there's so many things that just sort of anchor you in your current digs, in your current situation. Whether that's kids and family or the opinions of others or your mortgage or whatever it is. And I'm here to tell you that the benefits of overcoming that objection in your own life so far outweigh any of the problems that you will create from that I've seen this over and over with the small percentage of people who have the courage to actually go on the journey of a lifetime, the adventure of a lifetime to internationalize your life and become a global citizen. I put all of that together for you in a 152-page book. I call it The Secrets of the Expat Adventure. This is my own journey, my own tale of discovery, but also learning how to internationalize and all the incredible blessings that came along with that. That link is also in the description below this video. That's enough out of me. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with more great stuff. And remember, the best way to avoid the coming chaos is get out of town.